Welcome back to our channel. Today we unravel the astonishing story of Daisy Fellows, a woman whose name became synonymous with scandal, extravagance, and defiance. Once called the most wicked woman in high society, Daisy's life was a whirlwind of opulence, controversy, and audacious exploits. From her tragic childhood shaped by loss, to her tumultuous marriages and shocking romantic entanglements, Daisy's journey was far from ordinary. Behind her dazzling fashion choices, biting wit, and unorthodox lifestyle lay a complex figure who shattered societal norms and embraced infamy with unparalleled flair. Join us as we dive into the dramatic highs and lows of her life, uncovering the secrets and scandals that defined an era and cemented her legacy as a true icon of controversy. Daisy Fellows' early years seemed like the opening act of a fairy tale. Born on April 29, 1890 in Paris, France, as Marguerite Céline Philippine de Cazes de Glucksburg, she was the daughter of the Duke of de Cazes, a man of noble French lineage, and Isabelle Blanche Senior, heiress to the vast Senior sewing machine fortune. With such illustrious parentage, Daisy's future appeared destined for wealth, privilege, and prestige. However, the glittering promise of her childhood was tragically short-lived. At the tender age of 6, Daisy's world was shattered when her mother took her own life, leaving a void that neither wealth nor status could ever fill. This devastating loss left Daisy and her siblings effectively orphaned, thrust into an uncertain emotional landscape despite their substantial inheritance. Their father, either unable or unwilling to step into the role of caregiver, passed the responsibility to their maternal aunt, Winnaretta Singer. Winnaretta, a celebrated patron of the arts and an eccentric figure in her own right, became a defining influence in Daisy's formative years. But life under Winnaretta's roof was far from conventional. Winnaretta's world was a whirlwind of opulence, artistic flair, and scandalous romances, exposing young Daisy to a lifestyle that was equal parts captivating and chaotic. It was in this environment that Daisy witnessed the sharp contrast between privilege and personal turmoil, a theme that would echo throughout her own life. While others might have crumbled under such circumstances, Daisy seemed to absorb these experiences, forging a resilience and boldness that would later define her as one of the most scandalous figures of her time. Yet it's crucial to understand how these early experiences shaped Daisy's psyche. The trauma of losing her mother, combined with her aunt's unconventional approach to life, likely fostered a sense of rebellion and detachment in Daisy. It's no wonder she grew into a woman who refused to play by society's rules, preferring instead to write her own. Beneath the glamorous exterior that would later captivate high society was a woman forever marked by the scars of her childhood. As Daisy transitioned into adulthood, she made what appeared to be an attempt to anchor herself within societal expectations. At 19, she married Jean, Prince de Broglie, a union that on paper seemed perfect. The match aligned with her noble status, and the pair quickly became a fixture of high society. However, the marriage was anything but a fairy tale. Beneath the polished veneer of their public appearances lay a relationship riddled with secrets and disillusionment. Rumors about Jean's homosexuality began to circulate, casting a shadow over their union. The most damning of these stories alleged that Daisy had once stumbled upon her husband in a compromising situation with their chauffeur. Such a discovery would have been devastating in any era, but in the early 20th century, when public image was everything, it was catastrophic. This revelation reportedly shattered Daisy's ideals about love and marriage, leaving her disillusioned and embittered. Despite the cracks in their relationship, Daisy and Jean had 3 daughters together, though motherhood didn't come naturally to her. Stories from this period paint a picture of a woman detached from her maternal role. One infamous anecdote recounts how Daisy failed to recognize her own children at a park, underscoring the emotional distance she maintained from them. The final blow to their fragile union came during World War I. Jean, serving in the military, succumbed to the flu during the 1918 pandemic, a tragedy surrounded by whispers of a darker cause. Some speculated that he may have taken his own life after the strain of his personal life being exposed became too much to bear. Whether true or not, his death marked a turning point in Daisy's life. Though Daisy Fellows was famously distant as a mother during her daughter's early years, her relationship with them later in life carried a mix of complexity and tension. As her daughters grew into adults, they reportedly oscillated between admiration for Daisy's audacious spirit and frustration over her emotional aloofness. One of her daughters once remarked that Daisy's brilliance as a socialite often overshadowed her role as a parent, leaving them to grapple with a woman who was both inspiring and exasperating. Yet, despite the strained dynamics, her daughters carried elements of Daisy's legacy forward, with their own ventures into art, literature, and philanthropy subtly reflecting the unconventional path their mother had paved. Freed from the constraints of marriage but burdened by scandal, Daisy began to embrace the notoriety that would define her legacy. Her disillusionment with societal norms and traditional roles only deepened, fueling a rebellious spirit that manifested in increasingly scandalous ways. If her childhood had set the stage for her defiance, her marriage and its dramatic unraveling cemented Daisy's reputation as a woman unbound by convention and unapologetic in her pursuit of personal freedom. Daisy Fellows' life was a tapestry of scandal, controversy, and audacious decisions, and her romantic escapades were at the heart of her reputation as one of high society's most infamous figures. She seemed to thrive on defying norms, embracing bold and unconventional choices that shocked even the most jaded of social circles. One of the earliest and most telling examples of her daring nature was her decision to undergo rhinoplasty at a young age, a procedure she endured without anesthesia. This was no mere vanity. It was a statement. In an era when beauty was a woman's currency and plastic surgery was considered both radical and taboo, Daisy's willingness to endure such pain revealed her relentless determination to craft her own image. She didn't just want to be admired, she wanted to control how the world saw her. However, Daisy's pursuit of perfection didn't stop at surgery. She adopted extreme and highly questionable beauty regimens to maintain her slender figure, including the use of drugs that would later define her lifestyle. She didn't just experiment privately, she flaunted her methods. By offering powdered substances to her guests at social gatherings, Daisy turned her personal indulgence into a shared vice, weaving it into the fabric of her public persona. Her relationships, however, were where Daisy truly cemented her scandalous reputation. Among her most audacious pursuits was Winston Churchill, a rising political star at the time. Daisy's relentless flirtation with Churchill, despite his recent marriage, was the kind of brazen move that left society buzzing. Though Churchill rebuffed her advances, Daisy's response was nothing short of theatrical. She married his cousin Reginald Fellows just months later. Reginald, by all accounts, was no match for Daisy's larger-than-life personality. Described as clumsy and easily manipulated, he became little more than a pawn in her high-stakes social game. Daisy wasted no time in engaging in extramarital affairs, one of which reached levels of absurdity that bordered on the theatrical. In a particularly shocking episode, Daisy and her lover Fred Cripps followed Reginald to a brothel, where they caught him red-handed in the company of another woman. The confrontation that ensued turned an already scandalous marriage into a public spectacle. But even Reginald's humiliation paled in comparison to Daisy's long-term affair with Duff Cooper, a prominent politician married to the equally influential Lady Diana Manners. Daisy's pursuit of Cooper wasn't just a personal indulgence. It was a deliberate, calculated move that kept her firmly in the spotlight. Despite Lady Diana's stoic tolerance of her husband's infidelity, the affair caused ripples throughout high society, culminating in a dramatic confrontation at a casino. Lady Diana, feigning distress at her husband's disappearance, involved the authorities in a theatrical display of marital turmoil, adding yet another layer of drama to Daisy's already chaotic life. These entanglements weren't just about romance or passion. They were a reflection of Daisy's insatiable appetite for attention and her refusal to abide by societal norms. She didn't just break the rules, she rewrote them, creating a narrative in which she was both the protagonist and the antagonist. Whether orchestrating public spectacles or indulging in private escapades, Daisy turned every romantic liaison into an act of rebellion, solidifying her place as one of high society's most scandalous and unforgettable figures. Daisy's reputation as a scandalous seductress reached new heights when whispers began circulating about her secret rendezvous with a mysterious lover. According to the rumors, she often disappeared for hours during social events, retreating to the shadowy corners of opulent mansions or secluded gardens. One evening, during a grand ball at a Parisian estate, guests claimed to see Daisy slip away into the moonlit gardens. When someone attempted to follow her, they found a single red rose lying on a marble bench. No one ever saw who she met, but Daisy returned to the ballroom with a sly smile and a sparkling diamond bracelet that hadn't been there before. When pressed about her absence, Daisy would only reply, "A lady never tells." This story added another layer of mystery to her already infamous persona. Daisy Fellows didn't merely exist within the confines of her era. She shattered them, leaving a trail of controversy, heartbreak, and intrigue that ensured she would be remembered long after her time. If her beauty and wealth opened the doors to high society, it was her unapologetic defiance and relentless pursuit of drama that made her a legend. While Daisy's personal life was steeped in scandal, her contributions to fashion told a different story, one of innovation and artistry. Daisy Fellows may be remembered for her scandalous escapades and dramatic personal life, but her contributions to the world of fashion and publishing ensured her legacy extended beyond mere gossip. As the Paris editor for Harper's Bazaar, Daisy wielded significant influence over the fashion landscape of her time, helping to shape trends and cement the magazine's reputation as a beacon of style. While she was not considered particularly intellectual, Daisy's taste and eye for innovation were undeniable. Her editorial work offered a blend of opulence, edge, and daring creativity, reflecting her own complex persona. One of the most remarkable and lasting legacies of Daisy Fellows lies in her collaboration with the visionary designer Elsa Schiaparelli. Together, they didn't just redefine haute couture, they created a cultural movement that celebrated the daring and the unconventional. At a time when fashion was often bound by tradition and conservatism, Daisy and Schiaparelli pushed the envelope, embracing boldness, eccentricity, and the avant-garde. Daisy's impeccable eye for style and fearless embrace of audacious designs were the perfect complement to Schiaparelli's innovative genius, making their partnership one of the most iconic in fashion history. Among their many groundbreaking contributions, none is as emblematic as the creation of shocking pink, a vibrant electric hue that broke all norms. This signature color, inspired by a dazzling pink diamond Daisy wore to high society events, became a symbol of rebellion and individuality. It wasn't just a shade, it was a declaration. In a world dominated by muted pastels and restrained elegance, shocking pink shouted confidence, extravagance, and defiance. For women who wore it, it wasn't just a fashion choice. It was a statement of empowerment, a way to announce their refusal to be confined by outdated societal expectations. Daisy's role in championing this color was as bold as the shade itself. Her love for vibrant, audacious designs brought Schiaparelli's creations to the forefront of haute couture, helping to cement the designer's reputation as one of the greatest innovators in fashion. Daisy didn't simply wear Schiaparelli's designs, she embodied them. The dramatic flair of their creations mirrored Daisy's personality, daring, unapologetic, and unafraid to provoke. From her flamboyant ensembles to her irreverent attitude, Daisy was living proof that fashion could be both art and rebellion. More than 6 decades later, shocking pink continues to resonate. It has become a cultural touchstone, gracing everything from perfume bottles to Hollywood costumes. The bold color has transcended time, appearing in Marilyn Monroe's iconic wardrobe in Gentlemen Prefer Blondes and influencing designers even in the 21st century. It stands as a testament to Daisy's fearless spirit and Schiaparelli's ingenuity, a reminder that fashion is about more than clothing. It's about making a statement. Daisy's collaboration with Schiaparelli wasn't just about aesthetics. It represented a breaking point in the rigid traditions of high fashion, paving the way for self-expression and experimentation. In many ways, their partnership was a reflection of Daisy herself, an unapologetic force that refused to conform, defied expectations, and left an indelible mark on the world. One evening, Daisy threw an opulent dinner party aboard her private yacht, moored in the glistening waters of the French Riviera. Among the carefully curated guest list was a renowned artist whose work was all the rage in Paris. Over champagne and caviar, Daisy began to toy with the artist, teasing him with her wit and charm. As the night wore on, she convinced him to bring one of his recent masterpieces aboard the yacht to display it during the festivities. But Daisy had other plans. Under the pretense of showing the painting to her other guests, she had the masterpiece whisked away to her private quarters. By the time the artist realized the painting was missing, Daisy merely smiled and said, "A true artist gives freely. Don't you agree?" The artist was furious but couldn't bring himself to confront Daisy in front of high society. Rumor has it that the painting hung in her personal gallery for years, a testament to her audacity and flair for the dramatic. Beyond fashion, Daisy dabbled in literature, authoring several novels. While her writing was not universally praised, it offered glimpses into her world of wealth, wit, and wickedness. Her novels, much like her life, were filled with intrigue and excess, providing a voyeuristic window into the rarefied circles of high society. Yet despite her literary and artistic endeavors, Daisy was often viewed as more of a provocateur than a creative genius. Her intellect was frequently questioned, with even those close to her pointing out her occasional naivety. For instance, her lover Duff Cooper once expressed dismay at her confusion between literary greats, a small anecdote that, fairly or not, shaped perceptions of her intellect. By the 1930s, Daisy had firmly established herself as a polarizing figure in high society. She was revered by some for her daring fashion choices and bold personality, but others found her insensitivity and capriciousness unbearable. Daisy had a knack for alienating people, often with her sharp tongue and unapologetic behavior. Even her closest friends and collaborators found themselves on the receiving end of her tactlessness. Photographer Cecil Beaton once lamented her spoiled and wicked nature, and she famously mistreated guests aboard her lavish yachts, showcasing her inability or unwillingness to temper her flamboyant personality for the sake of others. Daisy's eccentric behavior was as much a part of her legacy as her contributions to art and fashion. She wasn't merely a participant in high society. She was a force that disrupted and reshaped it. Her audacity and flair for drama made her impossible to ignore, ensuring her name would be remembered long after her glittering social circles faded into history. Daisy Fellows was often seen as a figure who blurred the lines between rebellion and elegance, but her contemporaries sometimes likened her to larger-than-life icons, such as Marie Antoinette. Both women embodied a bold defiance of societal norms, indulging in opulence and luxury that captivated and scandalized their respective eras. However, unlike Marie Antoinette, Daisy wielded her fashion sense and sharp wit as tools to not only command attention, but to redefine what it meant to be a woman in high society. Where others conformed, Daisy thrived in controversy, carving a path that set her apart as a provocateur. Her unique ability to turn her flaws into fascination ensured she wasn't just part of the aristocracy, she was a spectacle, a living performance of audacity and glamour. In many ways, Daisy Fellows epitomized the duality of her time. She was a woman of immense privilege, yet her life was rife with personal tragedy and insecurities. She was admired for her boldness, but criticized for her cruelty. And while she was never fully embraced as a serious intellectual or artist, her impact on fashion and culture cannot be denied. Daisy's legacy is one of contradictions, a life as glamorous as it was controversial, and a personality as magnetic as it was divisive. She wasn't content to simply exist within the boundaries of her world. She shattered them, creating a legacy that continues to fascinate and inspire. As the years wore on, Daisy Fellows' life began to mirror a tragic opera, filled with grandeur and drama, but edging toward an inevitable fall. The eccentricity and audacity that once defined her as a captivating figure of high society began to unravel, transforming into erratic and self-destructive behavior. Age did not mellow Daisy. Instead, it seemed to magnify her more unkind and impulsive tendencies. She alienated those around her with her insensitivity, often treating even her closest friends and acquaintances as disposable. Her lavish parties, once the pinnacle of high society gatherings, became scenes of mistreatment and humiliation for her guests, tarnishing her once glamorous reputation. Even against the backdrop of World War II, a time of global hardship and sacrifice, Daisy's hedonism remains unshaken. As World War II came to an end, a generation of men returned home carrying new ghosts. The economy was in shambles, and the Fellows' name had lost much of its shine. Yet none of this seemed to faze Daisy. In 1946, she was spotted partying with her friends on the streets of Paris, parading in a sleek Rolls-Royce with a glass roof, an ostentatious display of wealth and defiance. While the world grappled with rebuilding, Daisy seemed to exist in her own bubble of indulgence. But even as Daisy ignored the global tragedies unfolding around her, a deeply personal one was just around the corner, one that would forever alter the course of her life. She seemed almost indifferent to the turmoil unfolding around her, continuing to revel in extravagance. Daisy's affair with Duff Cooper carried on during the war, with Cooper even arranging for her to stay in a London home owned by his wife's family. This love nest, as it came to be known, became a source of scandal and a symbol of Daisy's unapologetic disregard for societal expectations. Yet even as she maintained her public veneer of confidence and audacity, cracks in her carefully constructed persona began to show. The death of her second husband, Reginald Fellows, in 1953 marked a significant turning point in Daisy's life. Despite their tumultuous marriage, Reginald had provided her with a sense of stability, if only by grounding her extravagant tendencies with his own missteps and failures. His passing left Daisy unmoored, and the emotional weight of her past began to take its toll. Haunted by the memory of her mother's tragic suicide, Daisy found herself grappling with profound despair. Her once unshakable confidence wavered, leading her to make several attempts on her own life, a stark contrast to the fearless, larger-than-life persona she had projected for decades. By the time of her death in 1962, Daisy's fortune had dwindled to a shadow of its former grandeur. Once an heiress to millions, she was left with only a fraction of the wealth she had inherited, her extravagant lifestyle slowly bleeding her dry. The high society circles that had once celebrated her audacity had largely moved on, leaving Daisy to fade into relative obscurity. Her death revealed not just the fragility of her financial situation, but also the emotional weight she had carried throughout her life. Daisy Fellows' later years exposed the human side of a woman who had spent her life crafting an image of invincibility. Beneath the dazzling jewels, scandalous affairs, and unyielding defiance was a person haunted by loss, insecurity, and a relentless pursuit of validation. Her decline serves as a poignant reminder that even the most glamorous lives are not immune to the struggles of the human condition. Despite the tragic arc of her later years, Daisy's legacy endures, not as a cautionary tale, but as a fascinating narrative of ambition, extravagance, and the complexities of a life lived unapologetically. She remained until the very end a figure of intrigue, a woman who refused to conform even as her world crumbled around her. Daisy Fellows' story is one of triumphs and tragedies, opulence and vulnerability, and it continues to captivate anyone drawn to the allure of high society's most infamous icons. Daisy Fellows' life, a whirlwind of extravagance and controversy, reached its final curtain call in 1962 when she succumbed to heart failure at the age of 72. To the world, Daisy was the epitome of high society, a woman who had everything: wealth, beauty, influence, and a relentless thirst for the extraordinary. As the heiress to the Singer sewing machine empire, she began life with a fortune that seemed infinite. Yet by the time of her death, only a fraction of that wealth remained, highlighting the fleeting nature of material excess. Daisy didn't just love luxury, she lived for it, no matter the cost. Her insatiable appetite for luxury drained her fortune, serving as a stark reminder that even immense wealth can crumble under the weight of unchecked indulgence. But Daisy's story isn't just a cautionary tale about money. It's a portrait of a woman who refused to be confined by the expectations of her time. Her passing revealed more than the empty coffers of a once vast fortune. It unveiled a life that had captivated high society with its audacity and complexity. Daisy was fearless in the face of judgment, brazenly embracing scandal and rebellion, often at great personal cost. Her unapologetic individuality was her defining trait. She didn't just live outside the lines, she redrew them entirely. And yet, beneath the glimmering jewels and glittering yachts, there was a woman grappling with profound personal struggles. The loss of her mother at a young age cast a long shadow over her life, shaping her defiance and her insecurities. For all the bravado and boldness she displayed, Daisy was deeply human. Someone who carried the weight of her notoriety while seeking validation in a world that both adored and vilified her. Her death marked not just the end of her life, but the closing of an era that she had shaped through sheer willpower. While many of her contemporaries quietly faded into obscurity, Daisy ensured her legacy would endure. Whether you admired or disapproved of her, Daisy Fellows was impossible to ignore. Daisy's life was full of contradictions. She was bold but vulnerable, rebellious yet elegant. She was bold yet vulnerable, rebellious yet elegant, triumphant yet tragic. Her life, like the diamonds she wore, had facets that sparkled brilliantly in the light, but bore imperfections when viewed closely. It is this duality, this complex mixture of audacity and fragility, that makes Daisy Fellows an enduring figure of fascination. Even in death, she challenges us to question the line between scandal and icon, between rebellion and resilience. Daisy Fellows didn't just leave behind stories of extravagance. She left behind a legacy that invites us to explore the human depths beneath the glittering surface. She remains an icon of her time, a woman whose life, marked by both brilliance and tragedy, continues to intrigue and inspire. And there you have it, the extraordinary and scandalous life of Daisy Fellows, a woman who redefined what it meant to live boldly and unapologetically. Her story, filled with shocking affairs, daring fashion, and relentless ambition, left an indelible mark on high society and the world of style. Despite her flaws and controversies, Daisy's legacy remains one of intrigue and audacity, proving that she was as captivating in death as she was in life. If you enjoyed this dive into the life of the most wicked woman in high society, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more captivating tales of history's most fascinating figures. See you in the next video.